Hello, this is Ali from PropConnect, and I'm delighted to welcome you to today's interview. We have a special guest with us, Samuel Junghenn, the founder of Traders with Edge. Thank you, Samuel, for joining us today. We appreciate the effort that you put in to share your insights and experience with our audience.
Welcome. Thank you for having me.
All right, so I've got a bunch of questions for you. First, let's start with how did Traders with Edge come into existence as a company, and what were the biggest challenges that you faced during its establishment?
So we used to have a funds management company in the Forex trading space, and it was predominantly an algo trading company. So we used to build algorithms, test them, and then go live and manage clients' funds for high net wealth individuals. What we found is the cost and the time that it would take to build these models, back test them, forward test them, get them through compliance before we could actually put them on live funds was such a long lead time. It was so expensive. And so we thought there must be a better way to recruit more strategies to put into our portfolio. And so that's when we started looking at the prop firm model back in 2020, I think it was. And that's where it kind of all started, was that idea of wanting to bring in more strategies to the company. And yeah, I guess in terms of biggest challenges, there's always challenges with starting up a new business, new technology, sorting out all your systems and processes. One of the challenges is being a new company in the space. I mean, most prop firms are new in the space, so it's really funny. When we first opened the doors in 2022, the start of 2022, people said, "Oh, you're too new. We don't trust you." Blah blah blah. And then, really, there were so many prop firms starting at the same time, and we're all the same age. And then you fast forward till now, people are still saying the same thing. They're like, "Oh, but you're just so new." It's like, no, hang on, we're not new. Like, pretty much everyone's new except just a couple other firms out there. So I guess it's not really a challenge, but it's just an interesting insight into how people think about it.
Of course. What makes Traders with Edge stand out from other prop firms in the industry?
I guess our biggest point of difference is that we allow traders to customize their challenges based on their trading style. So we have the traditional one phase, two phase, and instant funding models, but then we allow traders to increase their drawdown, change some of the parameters on their challenge to suit their trading style, because someone might, it gives people a chance to pass easier, I guess, and manage an account in the way that they want to manage it, as opposed to being forced into this set of rules that it may not suit their trading style. So that's probably the biggest point of difference in what we do. But aside from that, always focused on customer service, getting back to people really quickly, and working with the trader, because our long-term vision is to build a big pool of traders that we can work together in the long term on managing funds.
Customer service is very important for any business, so that is fantastic that that's a main focus of your company. Could you elaborate on the funding programs that Traders with Edge provides for traders?
Yeah, sure. So as I mentioned, we've got the traditional one phase, which is, we call it a turtle challenge because you've got a whole year to pass. It's got a 5% drawdown with a 10% target. So typically this is for your traders that might go into a position and hold that position longer term. They manage their risk typically better than the two phase guys do, just because they have a smaller drawdown, they've got to take smaller risks and still get to the target. But they might not want to be trading every day. It's for the swing traders, the long-term traders who want to find a position, hold it, and ride it through. Then we've got the two-phase challenge, which is your traditional type two-phase challenge, and again you can customize that to suit your trading style. Percent drawdown, 10% target. That traditional type model there. And the last one is a instant funding model where you come in and you get access to instant funding. There are some limitations around that. I won't go through all of the all the terms and conditions on the call, because we take up the whole call with just that. But it essentially allows people to start earning straight from day one, as long as they can manage their risk and still hit the profit targets for us. We may be coming out with another instant funding model for much larger accounts in the future. All the accounts have account scaling. So anywhere from your traditional type scaling, which is make 10% within 4 months, and we'll increase the account by 25%. We also have a rapid scaling, which is quite rare in the industry, where if the trader leaves their profits in the account, we will also leave our profits in the account and we will top it up. And that allows people to exponentially grow. They could start off with a 50K account on day one. In kind of the 8, 9 month mark, they could be up to like $1 million account if they're managing their risk properly. So that's quite a unique spin. This is how traditional prop firms, like we're talking like old school, 500 people sitting in an office, kind of operate. And that's how we've adopted that model and brought that in. And some of the traders love it because it allows them to start off with a small risk, small account, and then scale it really quickly.
That's great. So let's talk about some of your traders. Can you share a compelling story of one of the traders who joined Traders with Edge?
Sure. So, not giving away personal details, let's just call him Jim. But Jim came through probably around the start of this year, and we first saw him. He took a challenge. He didn't make it. I think he subsequently took two other challenges and didn't pass. He then passed a challenge. I believe it was on a 200K two-phase account. He's now gone on for multiple payouts, and just this week we paid him. He took a withdrawal of $9,000 US. So it just goes to show that just because you fail once, it doesn't mean that that you're a failure or you're a loser, or you're not made out, you're not cut out for prop trading. It's a difficult industry. It's a difficult skill, but if you just focus on yourself, journal your trades, improve step by step, you'll eventually get there, like this guy has, and he's now doing really well and receiving regular payouts from us.
It's hard starting out. There is a lot on the line, but you do need to learn somehow. So that's great to hear that you have plenty of traders who are making it and finding success. All right, now let's move on and talk about some key statistics about Traders with Edge. So I'm curious to know if you can talk about the number of traders you have and also what is the most popular program.
Yeah, sure. So we find a few interesting things. One is the two-phase challenge typically has a higher pass rate than the one phase. But what we do find is on the lower end, like on the 5 and 10K one phase challenges, that we get a lot more people come through there and pass and keep their account. So it seems like the people that are taking the smaller challenges are passing and then they keep their account, as opposed to some of the big ones where people just swing for the fences. They place one massive trade when they get funded, and then they blow their account. What we're seeing is kind of a trend in the smaller accounts. They manage their accounts better and ultimately they're more successful. So they might not be successful on a much bigger account. I don't know if it's the pressure that gets to some people managing larger sums of money, or if it's just the type of trader who doesn't go all in on buying the biggest account they can. They kind of are a little bit more conservative. Therefore, that mentality of being more conservative flows through to how they trade.
Which is preferable for traders starting with a conventional Forex broker or a prop firm like Traders Edge, and why?
You can approach this from a number of different perspectives. I guess everyone should start trading on a demo account, you know, from the start, at least like minimum 6 months, if not 12 months or more. You should be trading on a demo account. Ideally, a demo account with live conditions, if you can find one that has slippage and spreads and changing market conditions. Many demo accounts, they don't have any slippage. They don't have they don't have very, let's say, normal spreads. They're kind of very thin spreads, and so that means that the trader has a big advantage, and then when they go live, they're now at a huge disadvantage. So it's practicing on the demo accounts first. Then really it's just a numbers game. So if you consider you have $1,000 and you put that in your traditional Forex brokerage account, you're putting that whole $1,000 at risk potentially. If you hold a trade that's too risky, your downside is to lose $1,000. With some brokers, you could lose more than that $1,000. and you then owe them. So you could end up losing $10,000 on an account that you only deposited $1,000 in. Luckily, regulators have kind of stamped that out in many countries, but it still is prevalent. But if you put $1,000 in, right, you make, let's say you make 10% on that $1,000, your upside is making $100, but your risk is $1,000. So you could potentially lose 1,000, but you're potentially only going to make 100. Let's say if we're using, 10% as your default. If, on the other hand, you took a challenge and you passed that challenge, $1,000 is probably equivalent to, a $200,000 account. So if you made 10% on a $200,000 account, that's 20K, profit that you would have made minus our profit split. They end up with 16K. So you're risking the same $1,000, but then you're comparing $100 potential profit to 16,000 potential profit. So I know which one I would like.
Likewise, pretty easy choice. In your experience, what are some common mistakes that traders tend to make?
Good question. So typically what we see is a couple things. One, people are too impatient. They want money in the bank now. They want to pass the challenge now and get funded. And I think the industry as a whole is partially responsible for this because they placate to what the traders want, and they want this fast money. They want the Lambo, you know, they want the holidays and all this sort of stuff. It causes people to take trades when there might not be trades available. So there's not good opportunities in the market, but people try to force the trade. It's like, all right, I got to pass this challenge by Friday. So they try to enter trades that they would not normally enter in an effort to pass faster, which is not the way. I mean, with all of our challenges, we offer plenty of time. Even on our two-phase challenge, I didn't mention this before, but we offer 60 days to pass phase one when the industry standard is pretty much 30 days. So we take more of an approach like, come in, take your time, and just do things properly. But so that's the first one. The second thing is not understanding their risk. It's amazing to see how many people don't understand how to manage their risk. So if you've got a 10% drawdown, for example, and you're risking 5% per trade, what it means is you only need to have two losing trades and you're out of the test. That's it. And it doesn't matter how good your strategy is, you are absolutely going to have a losing streak of two trades. Most likely more. It's more like you're going to have a losing streak of 5 trades on average. So people don't consider how much they're risking per trade to be able to pass. They're kind of focused on passing as opposed to managing their risk. And this is where we see the ones who pass and then keep their accounts. They're really good at managing their risk, and they might only risk 0.5% per trade, or maybe 1% per trade if they're really confident.
All right. So going off that, you're talking about challenges. What do you consider to be the major challenges that traders face in the industry? And how does Traders with Edge assist traders in overcoming these challenges?
Good question. So I think that it kind of flows on from what I just mentioned is, the biggest challenges that traders face in the industry is one, they don't have enough capital. And that's why, a prop firm is more attractive than a traditional type broker. But then they try to bridge the gap between not having a lot of capital to making it big time too quickly. Um, the industry, I guess it's no surprise to a lot of people that a lot of prop firms just make money from selling challenges, right? So they want people to come in, do a challenge, and fail. That's not our focus. We want to bring people in, screen them, and then build a really big portfolio of talented traders that we can work with for the next 10 years. What happens in the industry is that some prop firms come out and they're trying to make their offering more attractive. So they say, 0 minimum days you can pass. So you can take a challenge and then you can pass on day one. No one trades like that professionally anywhere ever. Like, you go to all these professional fund managers around the world and they're just laugh at you. They just think it's a joke, right? But in the prop firm space, there are some actors that go, come in, you pass on day one, and you get this massive account. So the trader's thinking, wow, that's amazing. That's really exciting. I'm going to get funded. I'm going to be a millionaire. When it's completely not the case, because you've not had to stick to your disciplines. You've not had to stick to your trading plan and do things. You could basically come in, flip a coin, get lucky, and pass, right? And so the industry as a whole, or some players in the industry, I won't say everyone, they kind of create this environment of gambling where people are like, come in, swing for the fences, try to get rich. And they know that most people are not, and that the prop firm's going to make money from that. So we've tried to steer away from that at the same time while trying to still be attractive to traders, where they can come in, we'll nurture them, look after them. What we're rolling out soon, well, actually more of, we've rolled out some of it, but we have an education component. So courses where it's kind of like an open source. If you're familiar with Udemy, experienced traders can come in, create their courses, and sell their courses on their platform and mentor other traders. Now we vet them, very strictly to make sure that they've got a proven track record and they actually know what they're talking about. But it gives experienced traders a platform to be able to educate and help other people, and also the traders who are up and coming to get experience, and really compress time. Instead of them going out and making all the mistakes, they can come in and get mentored and coached by people that are experienced. So that's how we're trying to solve this issue. It's people that want to come in and have a long-term career in the industry, and not so much, just put it on black or red and hope they win.
I like that approach. Now, what is the most valuable advice that you give someone who's considering starting a career in trading?
Just getting familiar with the setup, the technology, and knowing it really like the back of your hand. Once they've done that, it's finding a strategy that suits their style. Now, there's some personality tests out there that people can do, specific to trading, to figure out where their strengths and weaknesses are. Some people are, they're shorter term. They just want to get into a short trade and be out in, less than an hour. Other people, their behavior is more long term. They're a bit more patient, and they can enter a trade and they don't care what happens, and they can leave it for a couple of weeks. They're two completely different personality types, and there's many others in between. And it's not to say that one's better or worse. It's just that if you're more of an impatient type person, or shorter term person, like you like scalping, but then you're trying to trade a strategy that's suited for more long term, well, you're never going to be successful with that strategy. So the second step is really understanding yourself and understanding what your strengths and weaknesses are, what your preferences are. So it's finding the strategy, and it's also finding the instrument that you want to trade on. So is it trading just on gold? Is it picking an instrument just like Euro USD, or is it trading stocks? And the inherent part within that I think most people don't talk about is one strategy doesn't work across all instruments, and it definitely doesn't work across all instruments the same. So you might have a great strategy for gold, but it doesn't work on Euro USD, for example. Completely won't work on stocks. So it's finding a strategy that works on one instrument, and just like getting to know yourself, it's also getting to understand that instrument and really become the specialist in that one instrument. And that's what's going to help you become a successful trader much faster. Aside from that, it's obviously learning about risk management, understanding your numbers. Because if you don't understand your numbers, like I mentioned before, if you lose twice, and you're out of the game, then that's it. You can go and buy another challenge, right? You can go and work and get some more money and deposit it into a broker. But at the end of the day, you've got to understand your numbers and the impact that they have. I mean, one simple statistic around losing money in an account. If you start with $1,000 account and you lose 20%, people go, oh, well, I've just got to make 20% to get back to zero. Well, no, actually, now you've got to make 25% to get back to zero. So you lost 20, but now you got to make 25 back. Most people don't even realize that. And so it's simple maths that are stacking the deck against you if you don't know these things.
So you really need to know your math to be a successful trader.
Absolutely.
Tough for some people because they just see the money in it and they don't really focus on building those skills. So that's, I think, incredibly valuable advice that our viewers will enjoy. From your perspective, what steps should a prop firm take to establish trust with traders?
From our experience, it's been time. Obviously, people posting reviews, video reviews. We have a lot of traders leaving video reviews for us. That's different than other companies. I think what the trader doesn't realize sometimes is that it's easy to go and buy fake reviews. So there's a couple companies out there, and I'm not going to name names, who have thousands upon thousands of reviews, and they're not necessarily real reviews. So you can go, buy reviews on some fake sites and get those bolstered quite quickly and easily. We haven't done that at all, even though it's detrimental to our business because it means that people look at us and they're like, why do you only have, a few hundred reviews as opposed to a few thousand? I think, fundamentally it's doing the right things, whether you get rewarded for it or not. Only traders who have actually traded with us can leave us a review. Whereas what some other companies do is they say, well, leave us a good review and then I'll give you a discount code, even if they haven't traded with them. So, there's stuff that goes on like that, which traders don't really know. But in terms of the prop firm establishing trust, it's really, providing the transparency and, building up the reviews and good customer service because people also talk, aside from having, reviews that people can go and look at in different communities, people are talking about things behind the scenes. So some prop firm might have a big flashy storefront and great specials of the week or whatever it might be, but then people that have actually gone and traded with them are talking behind the scenes going, well, hang on, these guys are really dodgy or whatever it might be. So that reputation thing, and unfortunately it just does take time.
It definitely takes time, but eventually word does get out. And, when people are purchasing fake reviews, it gets back to them. So it's very respectable that you're not because it's so easy to do so these days. Long term, that will be a very smart choice. Moving on, I'm curious to know what are your insights about the future of the prop firm industry? And do you believe that it's a stable industry in the long run?
It's we see a number of different prop firms coming in. They try to make really good trading conditions or really good challenges again to try to make it attractive for the trader to come. And I guess a word of advice for traders is you see a new prop firm pop up, and if they have trading conditions that are too easy, I guess, or you think, oh, well, this one's going to be really easy to pass, it's just being very mindful of someone's going to lose in the transaction. Either the traders, it's not as easy as they make it appear, and the traders, are not going to pass, or they make it really easy. They make it seemingly look easy, but then they're failing traders on some technicality that is hidden in their fine print. So I kind of got went off track there a little bit, but I guess in terms of where the industry is going, we're going to see more and more prop firms pop up, but we're also going to see consolidation and people figuring out who really are the businesses that are going to be there for the long term and understanding the attributes of when a new prop firm pops up, the ones that are not going to be around, because you don't know. It's kind of like you don't know when a prop firm is going to fold. For some of the ones that pop up, they look amazing, and then 2 months later, they're not there. So I think traders are getting smarter and, they're talking in the communities and figuring out, okay, well, this one looks amazing, but hey, it might not be around. So I think that community knowledge is starting to grow. I actually haven't thought about too much where is industry going to be in the long term. I think this distributed model of having traders trade for you around the globe is certainly a trend that's not going to change. That's exactly why we started it. To have an office with, and big floor space with 500 traders is very expensive. You've got to have insurance and all these other things. Your rent and overheads are ridiculously high. So I think the future of prop firm trading is definitely this distributed model where you can have someone in India or uh, China or wherever, sitting behind their computer and trading for you as a company. That's not going to go away. I think the more the world becomes fragmented, more and more people are wanting to work online. I think the disruption of technology more recently is pushing more people to want to work online. We still have in India, I mean, it's only like 40% of people actually online in India, and you've got 1.3, 1.4 billion people. So there's
Wow.
still got a massive amount of people to come online, and they're all going to want jobs or ways of making income.
There's so much potential that has not been realized yet. All right. Well, going off of that, can you share any upcoming plans or initiatives that Traders with Edge has in store as a prop firm?
Sure, we have actually have a lot rolling out over the next few months. Some of it I can talk about, some I can't. As mentioned before, we'll probably have a new trading challenge coming out. We've built a one-phase challenge that no one else is offering, which is allows traders to get access to much more capital for a one-phase challenge. Typically, your one-phase challenges are capped at around at your 50K, maybe 80, 90K, whereas we're potentially going to be able to offer much higher limits on those. We're working on some AI that's very cool. That's going to assist all of our traders. I can't tell you too much about it, but it is very cool and it will help all of our traders in our community. So we have a community like a Facebook, but it's just for traders within our platform. They can download our app, and there's going to be some cool features rolling out there over the next few months as well.
Wonderful. And finally, where do you envision Traders with Edge in the future, and what are your expectations for the prop firm industry as a whole?
I really want to see Traders with Edge grow to having a consistent portfolio, I guess, of traders that we can back for the long term. It's not so much just about bringing people in the front door and then having them leave out the side door. It's bringing traders in that we can work with and nurture and build a long-term relationship with over the next 5 to 10 years. That's really where we want to see the company.
Do you have any other advice that you'd like to leave our viewers before we sign off?
I think just reiterate what I mentioned before, which is just get educated, practice, find your niche, find what's comfortable for you. You got to find the glove that fits you first, and not put pressure on yourself as hard as that is, and just take your time and take it step by step. I mean, you think about going and becoming a doctor. You don't go and download an app and then you become a doctor tomorrow, right? You go and you study and you focus and you practice, and you find your area of specialty, and then one day you become a very successful, highly paid doctor. And that takes a period of time. But traders come in with this expectation of like, I download this thing, I push a button, and I'm a millionaire, which is just completely not right.
But Wall Street bets, come on, it's super easy. We see success stories all the time.
Yeah, that's it.
Well, I think that's really good advice to leave with. It takes time, it takes patience, it takes a lot of practice. So we need to reiterate that because in this industry, things get out of hand really fast. So that is wonderful advice. I hope that everybody's listening. If they are, then they will 10 years down the road. Thank you for that. Well, Samuel, thank you so much for the time. It was a pleasure meeting with you today, and this was a great interview.